Because we test and use so many of the highest end chairs, I have the luxury of being able to sit in almost any office chair I want. While I've used thousands of chairs over the last 15 years, there are only 3 that I've considered good enough for me to want to sit in for the rest of time. The Steelcase Leap was my first real endeavor into a high-end ergonomic chair from one of the major brands. While there was an adjustment period at first, getting used to the firmer seat and ergonomic backrest, it quickly became the most comfortable chair I had ever used. The seat is the thing that made me want to get out of the Leap initially, but now it's one of the biggest reasons why I love the Leap chair. The reason it was so tough for me is because I was coming from a super thick memory foam-like seat on the Nightingale CXO. The change was drastic, but in the end, it was what I needed, as the thick padded seat on the CXO was not doing my back any favors. Once I got used to the seat in the Leap, it became my go-to chair. I can use this chair for 8 to 10 hours a day and not feel like I'm bottoming out. My favorite thing about the seat, though, is its massive amount of flexibility. This is a noticeable difference between the Fern and the Embody. Those chairs aren't stiff by any means, but they don't compare to the Leap when it comes to seat flexibility. Honestly, I'd make the same argument on the back as well. The backrest is insanely flexible in all directions. The thin design is what gives you the tremendous amount of flex, but I also find it to be soft and I don't get warm while using it, which is often a drawback of fabric-backed chairs. I've never had that problem on the Leap. And the final thing that really sucked me into making the Leap my daily driver for almost 3 years is the arms. To me, these are the best in the business, even better than the coveted gesture arms. They are really adjustable, so you can put them almost anywhere you need to, and the pads are both soft and durable. Steelcase really found a nice balance of using a comfortable pad while not making it so soft that it breaks down and falls apart within the first 2 years. While the Leap sounds like the perfect chair, there is one area that left the door cracked open for a challenger to dethrone what had become my favorite chair, and that's the recline. The Leap chair has a unique mechanism. It's a synchro tilt by nature, but it does act a bit differently because the seat slides forward as the back goes back, and the chair is not designed with a smooth, deep rocking motion. This is why I've always rated the Leap as an A+ in our tier list, because it's missing that one component to push it to that coveted S tier rating like the next chair on my list. Even though we are constantly testing new chairs, it took me years of sitting in the Leap to find something that I considered to be a tier above. I'd gone through the entire Steelcase lineup, the Herman Miller lineup, the popular imports, and many, many others. None could compete with the Leap until I tried the Fern. When we got our first version of the Fern, I liked it, but I didn't love it. We got the standard mesh back with the added lumbar support and the headrest. The headrest is horrible, and the lumbar was way too pronounced for me, so I initially didn't like the chair nearly as much as the Leap. But then we got another version of the Fern. No lumbar, no headrest, and the digital knit upgrade on the backrest. The moment I sat in this version of the chair, I knew it was going to be a long time before I sat in that Leap again. While the seat is a slight downgrade to the Leap in my opinion, just because it lacks that crazy flexibility, it is still comfortable. It's quite firm at first, but then it does soften up after a couple months. The backrest and recline are amazing though. The backrest is one of the most comfortable things I've used on any office chair. The 4-layer system that Hayworth came up with gives you a suspended feeling, and the digital knit material gives the back an extra layer of softness to make it feel like you're leaning against a pillow without sinking into it and getting warm. While the arm pads are not quite as soft as the Leaps, they're still good, and they have the same level of adjustability as the Leaps do. The recline is one thing that really pushes the Fern into the S tier category for me. Aside from Herman Miller chairs, this is the nicest recline I've found. The range is massive, allowing you to work straight up and down, or recline all the way back and relax. It's easy to use the whole range, and it feels really smooth. The one downside with the Fern that I've noticed compared to the Leap and Embody is just overall quality control from Hayworth. The components are all great, but the way the chairs are built is not to the same level as the other 2 brands. This is basically the most expensive Fern you can configure, and it has some of the wobbliest arms of any chair in our office. This isn't how they should be, because the gaming Fern we have and the standard mesh Fern we have rock solid arms. Another small example is the dirt stain on the headrest of our very first Fern chair. The chair came with this stain. We've ordered a ton of Herman Miller and Steelcase chairs, and I do not recall any issues with those chairs in terms of quality control. With that said, if today I had to choose one chair and one chair only to use for the rest of my life, it would probably be this Fern chair. The Fern made me feel the same way as I did when I found the Leap. I didn't think I'd come across another chair I'd rather sit in for quite some time. Introduced the release of the Herman Miller Gaming Embody. The Embody is a chair I was already very familiar with, but the standard version just didn't feel quite right. The minor changes the gaming Embody made to the foam layer on the seat in the back, and the ribbed upholstery design made just enough of a difference for this to become my second ever S-tier chair. The pixelated support system is super unique and gives the seat a bouncy, suspended feel, and the small layer of foam really makes it feel soft. The one annoying thing about the Embody seat is the depth adjustment. The handles are ugly, in some ways they block cross-legged sitting, and they're really clunky to use. I much prefer the systems on both the Leap and the Fern. The back on the Embody is one of the biggest highlights though. It's super flexible and it has a very skinny design, so it gives you the most room to move and stretch your arms as compared to the Leap and Fern. The most glaring weakness with the Embody's back is the lack of any lumbar adjustment options. The Leap gives you 2 adjustment options, the Fern has height adjustment available, but the Embody comes with a fixed curve that cannot be changed. I personally like the way it feels and it fits me properly, but that may not be the case for everyone. The most attractive feature on the Embody, in my opinion, is going to be the recline. Nothing can match the recline action on a Herman Miller chair like the Aeron, Embody, or Mira 2 because of their harmonic tilt mechanisms. The range is massive, the recline is deep, and it's super smooth and easy to use the entire range with no effort. The biggest complaint we typically see on the Embody is the arms, their clunkiness, and lack of adjustment. You only get height and width adjustment, but I'm able to make this work without an issue, and I really like the arm pads. They're large, flat, and soft. They're just as comfortable to me as the Leap arm pads. You just don't get the same level of adjustability as you will with the Leap or Fern. While these are 3 of the most expensive, highest-end ergonomic chairs available, they may not be right for everyone. Make sure you do your best to try it first, or buy from a seller with free returns just in case you need to try another option.